Inside Story Uganda, real source of political updates.
Director, Uganda Musicians Association, joining us together with Shadrach Chisame, team lead at the Yuga Tunes, Ragadi, the popular artist, from the National Culture Forum, and member of the PSFU Board of Creatives, together with a senior media consultant, Dr. Joel Isabirie. Good to have you all, and a very good evening.
Thank you.
Ragadi, is it time for us to sing Bempeta? Ebyenda byetokote. And how excited are you, and what informs your excitement about this act?
Where I've come from, I wish if all works that I did were paid for, I'd be one of the richest people in this country. But because we did work without supermarkets, we did work without proper marketing solutions. We did work where people's mindset was set to have content for free. People can tell you that, no, when we listen to your music, we are helping you. But they're enjoying it.
Have you addressed yourself to the merits and the depth of the law and what it provides?
Yes.
Or you're simply excited because there is money coming?
I have been part of the foundation that started working on this amendment. Because of the innovative digital migration, we moved from the hardware to the software. And all the people that have done music for a long time were in the hardware world. So today, the digital world gives a space to everyone, and it's difficult to control because it is too big. It is an elephant. So in our times, you would sell a DVD tangibly. You'd see the tangible thing, a tangible good you're selling. Now we are selling air. There's airdrop. You don't need a wire to sell a full album. So someone will airdrop everything you have in 2 minutes. But before, Kasiukra would buy an album and sell it. And you are seeing the box being sold. You're seeing the DVD, you're seeing the CD, you're seeing the VCD, you're seeing the VHS. Now it's not there. So I call it the disruptive innovation. So many things come up, and by the end, they leave the traditional ways of working.
You're in it for the money.
Not only the money, but for also the works. For the people that have been singing for so long, if you don't bring out anything, they think you no longer have a brain. But there's a reason. Some people are frustrated. You don't work for free. You sing your music and people are enjoying your music and you have nothing. The biggest artists in Uganda, when they get sick, there's a fundraiser. But their music is playing. Just imagine, every Christmas time, when it's about Christmas, I used to think that Fide rose from the dead. Fide's music would come back. Katuyimbe, Momalobozi, and you're like, that's Fide Bongole retire. But his family, they're broke. If they would earn on every Christmas day, Fide Bongole retire's family would be okay. You are seeing these young boys on TikTok everywhere. They are popular but not paid. Why? Because if you do not have regulations, if you don't have rules that govern the market, it's difficult.
Thank you. Dr. Joel, I imagine you are part of the drafting and the journey thus far. For the benefit of our viewers, could you break it down for us? What is this copyright all about?
Okay, first of all, thank you to Simon and the viewers who are watching. I think what we need to know is that this was an amendment bill.
Yes.
So it's an improvement of an existing law.
From 2006?
2006. The initial law was 1964, and then there was a lot of discussion that resulted to the Copyright and Neighboring Rights Act of 2006. And then there was a band of regulations in 2010 because many of these laws meet the supervising institution or the minister to work with stakeholders to make regulations that implement the law. So those regulations came in 2010, but then the creative industry was not satisfied. They said there were several loopholes that needed to be addressed in this particular law. One, they wanted to expand the scope of who pays for their works. They thought that the scope was limited initially. And then one of their other issues were the other contributors to the production of works. For example, if a song is created, there are a whole lot of contributors to it. So there was the question of, are they entitled to a share of the distribution of the proceeds of copyright? So a number of consultations were done, and then the new law was presented to Parliament, and then Parliament also made some adjustments. One of the major adjustments we note is the shift from the terminology of producer of a work to author of a work. Now, for those in the industry, the word producer means something specific and could even exclude an artist. But Parliament and the Committee on Legal and Parliamentary Affairs felt that if you use the word author, it would embrace everyone who participated in the production of that work. The other one was the contentious Clause 9, which declared or which proposes that radio stations and television stations should pay for the use of artists' works or songs.
Doesn't that sound ridiculous?
Well, it might sound ridiculous from a radio or a television practitioner's point of view.
Because I'm promoting your music.
Yes, so I will just come to that shortly. One of the things to note about that is, first of all, radios and television stations are already paying. So some of them, and I believe even NBS is already paying. So the debate has moved beyond the argument that it is ridiculous. There was an argument like that around 2005, 2006, that radio stations should not pay because they promote artists. And the artists said that we do acknowledge that you promote us, but it is within our right to have proceeds or royalties from the works that we produce. So that debate went on and on, until this, actually it was a contentious issue in Parliament, and until Parliament agreed that actually radio and television stations should pay musicians for the use of their works. It's not just radio and television. It will also broaden to other users of these works. For example, bars, hotels, supermarkets that use music, and so on. So we think that the bill, if assented to by the president, will improve, one, the compliance to copyright. That those who are supposed to pay musicians for the use of their works will actually pay. That's what we think. We also think that the creatives will have more revenue to talk about because the scope would have...
Sorry, actually, before I shift to another guest.
Yeah.
Does the law apply to all musicians? Which particular category of musicians?
Now, first of all, before you talk about copyright, you must register your work. So you have to copyright your work. You have to register it with the Uganda Registration Services Bureau. So if you're a musician who has registered, then you claim ownership of that work. Registration is like a land title, or the registration certificate will be like a land title. So the musicians...
Again, that's new.
No, it has always been the case. Registration has been...
How many artists, for instance, are registered with URSB?
Well, I don't have those numbers offhand, but they are a fraction of the artists in the country, because artists do not just refer to the performing or the popular music artists. There are, for instance, choirs in churches. There are traditional ensembles in villages. Those are also artists. But when we speak about artists, we limit the scope to those who are played on radio, on TV, on YouTube, and so on. But the concept of artist is far broader. Even the president is an artist. He has sung a song before, but that's not his day job. So the word artist should be broadened beyond just the popular musicians I see. So I think there's a lot of sensitization that needs to be done to get everyone to register with URSB. And then they also have to register with their CMOs, because the money that is owed to you is collected by an organization called a CMO, a collective management organization.
Which is not yet in place.
It is in place. For the musicians, it's Uganda Performing Rights Society. So you have to register with them, and then they can start following up the money for you. You don't need to run after a bar, a radio station. UPRS will do it for you. And all the other domains in the creative arts have a CMO, a collective management organization that is supposed to collect royalties for them.
Thank you. I'll definitely get back to you. Geoffrey, I find it quite ironical that while the scope of the law attracts a number of players, including publishers, playwrights, etc., it's musicians who are most excited. What explains all this hullabaloo?
I think every era has its time. You notice that, for example, in the 60s, 70s, the theater ruled this country. And the National Theater was built by actors and drama actors, people in that space, in the theater space, in the performing arts. Now, it seems music dominates. Strangely, music dominates in terms of prominence, in terms of visibility, but doesn't dominate the numbers. The actual number of artists are not as many as the number of people, say, in artisans. All those people are still in the creative industry. There are a total of 9 domains. All the other domains actually outnumber the music industry. But it so happens that a man with a mic is always louder than the one without a mic. So, and in this age, there's so much room for being heard if you're a man with a mic. So music is dominating right now. So it has become more visible.
But when you look at the character and the industry of music in Uganda, is it anything so compelling for us to pay them? The quality, when you look at the quality, the composition, do you really feel you're worth a penny?
Value is not determined by quality alone. Value is mostly also determined by perception, by how you feel. For example, when I first entered the music industry or first picked interest, one of my early local songs that I really loved was Ragadi's Bamsakata. And but if you listen to the quality of Bamsakata today, it's anywhere near the quality of the music today. But guess what? I willingly paid for Ragadi's first concerts. he doesn't know I was there, but I would pay twice. The memories I have for it, if I could relive that experience, I would pay 10 times more. So the quality of the recording has nothing to do with how much you should pay. It's perception. And also right now, the perception that we shouldn't pay is just a habit that we have trained ourselves to believe because we have been able to get away with it. But the 40 days of Alibaba are over. So those habits are going to change naturally. Once we get that habit of suing people, for example, you know, in America, they have a very strong culture of suing people. If you touch anybody's intellectual property, you will be in court very quickly. So we are going to ring that in very quickly because we feel now the law has filled all the gaps that were preventing us from doing so. The lawyers should get ready for merrymaking because we're about to change that and the habits will naturally change. Look at guys like DJ Ericom, one of the top pirates in this country. He has gotten away with it for over 25 years. He uploads music every day for anybody and he gets away with it. But the moment we start enforcing, now there's the takedown clause that allows us to write to UCC and have that website shut down or blocked completely if it can't be shut down. So
yeah, I guess you're very aware of competition that Uganda's music cannot match Nigerian, Kenyan, and other artists across the globe. So Ugandans have a choice to abandon our local music and opt for foreign music. Does this worry you?
Not at all. Again, that's a very gross misunderstanding of how the music industry works. I've had those assumptions made that, okay, if the radios are being forced to pay for Ugandan music, we will just switch to international music.
And film, movies, and works generally.
That is not going to work. Why? Because, for example, for the enforcement of rights for music, the CMO is Uganda Performing Rights Society. They control, again, 90% of international music. How do they do it? They have partnerships with the owners of the music. 80% of the world's music is owned by the major record labels, Sony, Warner, Universal. Those companies are directly represented in the region through their Nairobi organization, the International Federation of Phonographic Industries. They have a direct agreement with UPRS. So the music is playing because they have allowed it to play. And they can pull the plug. They can also utilize the copyright law that we have just amended. A very big part of those amendments is the domestication of international treaties. Suddenly, we have as much power as all those other countries. We are going to be able to reciprocate the same way they've been supporting us. Look at how YouTube pays Ugandan creatives. You think they care about us so much? They don't. They do it because they are obliged by the copyright law that works in their countries. So that is the same thing that is going to happen to us.
Well, very interesting. Shadrach, the spirit behind the law seems to be more of a reprimand towards people who are enjoying free things. Don't you think this is a big threat to the local artists industry, creatives generally?
I don't think it's a threat. To be honest, this is a new day. It's a new dawn for the creative sector. And I think everyone in the creative sector should be excited because whereas this is unprecedented in Uganda, this has been the order of the day in the West, and no wonder those markets are growing. So it's paramount that everyone in the creative ecosystem, appreciates what government and the artist leadership are doing with this law particularly. So there's no threat, not even to media houses, not even to bar owners, not even the artists. I think this is something that was long overdue. And when we appreciate it minus the politics and misunderstanding, misinterpretation, because the actual law in itself, okay, the bill yet to be in law in itself, actually has no problem. Because the amounts there are not overrated, because people are saying every time you play the song, then you pay. That's not true. It is not true. There is a cover charge that, let's say, venues are going to pay. And we're going to have listening devices listening in there. So not every time you play Chipepeo by Chameleon, On Digida by Ragadi, there is a pay for that. No, it's a cover charge. So I think it's being
misconstrued.
Misconstrued. And this is diverting.
And that's where it's going to get lost.
Yes, that's where it will get lost. So I think there's need, like Doctor said, there's need for sensitization. We need to sensitize people. First of all, the guys in the creative ecosystem, but then also the public and the business owners.
Yeah, but along the way, as someone who is interacting with local talent, do you find our creative compelling enough for the pay?
Uganda is one of the most creative countries in the world. We have some of the most talented artists in the world. And I'm telling you, as someone who has worked for international companies like Audio Mark, 1RPM, the Sonys, I have worked for them. When you listen to the Caribbean music, when you listen to Afrobeat, when you listen to us now, because us, we are the Ragadis fused, they fused Congolese music with Jamaican music, and then our local Kadongo Kamwan. Now we have a fusion like that one. It's rare. So when it comes to the question of creativity, there is no ask questions there. We are one of the most creative people. But now, what this law now does is the thing you've been asking Ekongot here. The quality, because when it comes to music, there's the creative aspect and the technical aspect. Now, the technical aspect is the production, is the quality good? Does it meet the standards? Like now, Spotify, because these are the ones with which they used to monetize. Does the music, does the creativity meet these standards? Now, that's another question that we are improving. But when it comes to creativity, we are worth it 100%.
And we're putting the cart before the horse. I thought the first thing would have been to improve the quality, to make it worth the pay.
So you cannot invest in something that is not regulated, something that is not structured. That's why kudos to artist leadership, what MCF and UNMF are doing, and then also kudos to government. Because you cannot invest in something that is not structured. You will not realize return on investment. The reason as to why we have low investment in the creative sector is because investors are not sure whether they will make their money back. And that is both foreign direct investment, where we have Sony and guys from Universal come to invest in our local talent, or local guys like Kagwanjala, who has had a fleet of maize and has made some profit and has a cousin who sings and invests in them. We have law of those. You know why? Because they are not sure their money will come back. But now with this copyright law, and everything structured, where they can track and say, let's say for instance, we just have our brother, Palazzo. Palazzo is with Yugatunes, and his financial analytics are structured. Yugatunes says, Palazzo makes X amount from caller tunes, he makes X amount from the internet, he makes X amount from the bar. Then an investor will be like, okay, I can give Palazzo 40 million, he can be able to pay it back in a month. So structure, this law here brings structure.
Thank you, very interesting. Ragadi, I would love us to look at the politics behind this law. There is a group of artists who have actually not been very comfortable with this and with the process. They deemed it more as a political weapon, that some of you were using it for self-aggrandization. What's your take?
You see, the worst thing about everything is the mindset. What you think. This law has no political lineage at all. Because what it does not only help the musician, by the way. This law is going to help the 9 domains. We have the culinary art. You know, the people who make the food, the luombo. Those people are supposed to have their patent signed somewhere. We have the designers. Did you know that Uganda is one of the countries that have developed the backcloth in the world? But no one has said, can we patent it? There is someone who is making it. You've just seen the Janzi, the instrument. If you do not patent it, if people will just think that, oh, I think I can do something like this.
Why is it so inclined towards music?
Not people. The mindset is set on music, but there's film. So many people. You see, Uganda, is a very lucky country with 55 languages. Every language, the tribes, they have different sounds. They have different cultures. In Uganda, if you move from Kabale to Karamoja, there are different dances, different dishes, different way of fashion. Now, copyright, like I'll take it back. Copyright is not only based on music. That's why I'm talking about the mindset. It's based on the intellectual property. The person that created the Covidex was like a herbalist. But imagine what Covidex did during the COVID time. It healed people, and that was not science. So what we can do with this, we need to have clinics to teach people that intellectual property does not stand for music only. It does not stand for film only. It does not stand for literary works. People do the books. We grew up reading pamphlets. And I don't know if there are still pamphlets on the road, but everything is now e-book, everything. Now the person who wrote the book of Ngugi was young. Today you do not find a library. The library is on the phone. The Bible, the Quran is on the phone. So if it is digital right now, that person that created that work should be remunerated, should be paid. And for us, what we're talking about is not only music, we're talking about the intellectual property collateral. What you have planned that can become money to the banks. Uganda has signed so many treaties. The ban treaty. Like you talked about, if you disturb us, we will play the Nigerians. But the treaty stands for national and international works. So no matter what you do as a television at NBS, you'll have to pay because there are reciprocal agreements. I'm a member of AFAS, African Audiovisual Society. Nigeria, Zimbabwe, Malawi, they're all there. Now what happens is if their works come here, we need to remunerate for them. And also they help us. Last year we were given money from Kapaso. That is South Africa. Ugandan music played in South Africa, played in Zimbabwe. They collect money for us. So what we need to do is now, if we become, we have this reciprocal agreements, we have to also collect for them. Now what happens is, you will not say that it is about Uganda only. Rwanda's music is played in this country, and no one is collecting for them. Amasakunda was a very popular song. And who did the song? People still play it in the bands, and who earns out of it? The owner may be so broke, but if we all work together in the world, there's something that will help grow and develop the industry.
Let me hear this. If I play your music in my bedroom,
yes,
how will you track me?
If you play my music in your bedroom, you could have downloaded that song from either MTN or Airtel. During the process of downloading my song, if we have a code on the song, every time you download it, I'll get something through the data sharing. So the person who is using the song at home, that's not commercial use. That's enjoyment. But the person who is using this song on a radio station, on a TV, in a nightclub, in a hotel, all those lounges, they're making money. But what makes them make money? The good song of Palazzo. So what we need is this person to be paid that little blanket fee. We call it a blanket fee. So we take it to the CMO, and then the CMO has to remunerate and try to look for who is the best, who is the artist with the best songs in a month or in a year.
Okay, what I deduce from this is a scramble for royalties over professional development.
It is all professional development. You've seen artists go to Gulu to ask for some money to do so.
Yes.
But if you reverse,
and you've actually been leading the pilgrimage yourself.
Definitely. If you reverse your thoughts, There are over 300 radio stations in Uganda, and we have about 20 paying royalties. We have more than 70 televisions in Uganda. Apart from Next Media, the others are saying, no, for us we do things for free, we are helping you. So at the end of the day, you cannot have a TV to put films without people's content. You cannot act on your own. Now imagine Njara acting a movie, having a political program, and being a news anchor. Same day. People will watch you for one day and they will leave you. But the good thing is, if people come up with the content, different content, that is given to the TV station, that is what keeps the people bring the adverts. That is what keeps the people hooked on your TV. So at the end of the day, you're not helping me. You're helping yourself. It's a scratch my back, I scratch yours.
Thank you. We're joined by Pius Manja, a.k.a. Palazzo. Good to have you, and a very good evening.
Thank you so much.
I saw you in Parliament. How exciting was the moment for you as the bill was being passed?
It is a very exciting moment because we had actually fought about the bill for a long time. It took a lot of effort, and it was history in the making because the last actual realistic amendment, I think, when they made the copyright law was in 1958. So that is a long way since then. It felt so good. I salute everyone that has been fighting along with us. My big brother Ragadi and so many others pioneered this fight. So it just showed the power of unity. It couldn't have been done by a single individual.
Well, you still wear the tag of a local musician.
Well, I'm local here, just like Jay-Z is international here, but local in America.
How would you struggle with this copyright to get the global appeal?
Getting the global appeal, of course, depends a lot on how the structure has been built. See, for example, we are structured into a federation, which is a union of associations, and we have 25 domains. So it increases creativity from unity, but also going international is a lot more based on making a hit song, making flavor for whoever you want to appeal to, you know. So it doesn't depend on the law. The law is not going to make a hit song, but the structure helps somebody with a hit song reach further. For example, the Federation of Uganda can plug into the East African Federation and then plug into the African Federation, and who knows, maybe the World Music Federation one day. So that's what structure does. It organizes people. We've been so disorganized. We've lost a lot of billions due to music piracy and a weak musical structure and due to misinformation. So it's a great place to start.
Besides oiling your pockets, what else will this law cure for you?
This law has a lot, for me personally or for the industry?
For the industry.
First of all, the copyright law is the only law that protects our musical works. Everything else is just arguments, you know. So once we register the music, it belongs to us for a time that was estimated to be 25 years, I believe. And the original time was 55 years, which seemed to be a long time. So for me, the direct benefit is my work is being protected. The second direct benefit is the benefit of monetization. Like my big brother Ragadi told you, the industry is going digital. Amawulire bagasomera ku TV. You know, so we need to be part of the digital revolution, and protecting intellectual property through digital and tangible avenues is a great idea for us because we can now monetize through a structure. Me directly, I also had a representative from Universal Records contact me and try to buy my whole catalog in one go. Then it made sense. Now it doesn't, because actually my music can make money until I die and even after I leave the world. Some of our dead brothers have their kids not going to school, you know. And their music is still making money on the TVs and radio stations and in so many other commercial places. So even me, inevitably, one day I will die. And nobody will fight for me unless I structure these things and make it happen. So the benefits are endless, but that's just to mention about a few.
The law can never work retrospectively. So what happens, what's been happening in the past can it be redeemed?
Well,
No, I'm asking Joel.
Well, that's a question with a wide scope. So I don't know where to start from to respond. But I think what you're saying is a lot of practices occurred in the past. And so are we able to revoke them using the law? I'm afraid that might not be possible, but the law has now created a foundation. Of course, where there are contractual obligations that can be renegotiated, those can be handled through new contracts.
The music is already out.
Yeah, so I would think that some of the things of the past might not be, it won't be easy to address them. But going forward, I think the law has, or the bill, because this bill has to first go to the president, and the president has his team of advisors. He also consults further. So
It's an act already awaiting assent.
Assent, yes, but he also consults. He can send it back and say that, okay, the creatives came to me and said this particular one needs to be, yeah. So, I mean, I believe when it's assented to, it creates a good foundation. Something I would like to say is there's a lot more work to do because the law is one thing, compliance is another. So the structures for compliance need to be in place.
And enforcement.
Attitudinal change has to occur because all these opinions that you see that seem to disregard the contribution of this act, partly because people are not aware of how things should be. So a whole lot of sensitization has to go on. Tools to ensure this compliance takes place need to be put in place. That's why you see agencies like URA investing in technology to improve compliance to tax payment. So I think that the law is, as you mentioned on the poster that I saw, it's a euphoria. It's an exciting moment, but there's a journey now of implementation that will require, one, harmony within the industry, that they speak with one voice.
I see a sense of jumping the gun to the extent that before the industry, the creative industry, is organized, because it's in a dire mess, it's in a dire situation. Before it is organized, you're now delving into legalese. What do you think should have come first? Organize yourselves, then push for a law. Not so.
I will tell you this. The birth of media regulation was the result of the sinking of the Titanic. Perhaps if the Titanic had not sunk, we would not have had the Federal Radio Commission in the US. We would probably not have had media regulation at all. Because it is only after the Titanic sank that the US government thought of creating regulations to regulate the use of radio frequencies at sea. And that's how the whole media regulation started. So it doesn't matter where you start from. As long as the objective, the vision is positive, is something that you think can make a change, a positive change, I think we can put the pieces together. The law will give us a foundation, and then we can fix where the gaps are going forward. So I would not fault the industry or the Ministry of Justice or other people who took part in developing the law for developing a law that seeks to improve the conditions and fortunes of the industry. Instead, I would applaud them.
Thank you. Geoffrey, behind the scenes, how much stake did Uganda Musicians Association have in the drafting and the lobbying for this law?
A lot. So when you look at the roadmap from the official stages, including from the time Dr. Hilderman proposed, and it was handed to the Uganda Law Reform Commission, we were part of that very first day. In fact, earlier today I was mentioning that some of the people that should have been credited right now for part of this success is people like Bebeku. He was active on day one. The very first consultation was at Golden Tulip. He was there, made a lot of contributions. He was cited for it. His active participation helped to jumpstart things. He's at that stage, Uma was the one running the show for mobilizing the musicians and the music industry in general. That first round of debating the principles before the actual bill was put in place, we were involved countrywide. Long before, for example, UNMF was in place, long before Kenzo was involved in these steps, we were on the road contributing actively, including proposals. We made several submissions that formed part of the proposals that went into the draft bill. So we played a very big role. In fact, right now as I speak, we are disappointed about some of them that didn't make it. We feel like we've missed a great opportunity. For example, one of the clauses we had hoped would go through was the private copy levy. Why? Because this bill was about two things. It was about bringing more money into the music industry, and then it was also about fixing technical administrative gaps that could sort of streamline the industry. So in improving monetization of the industry, the big guns we had looked at was private copy levy. The second big gun was the CRBT revenue. And we missed private copy levy. We had banked on CRBT revenue. We worked hard. We had strong exchanges with the telcos. Initially, during the consultations, we were with the ICT committee, and they interfaced with telcos. We crushed their arguments for exploiting us, and we won the day. In fact, part of the initial report of the consultations, a lot of our contributions were captured in that. But I noticed that in the bill that was passed, they managed to sneak back in a landmine that we still have to diffuse before, right after the law is passed.
What is the land?
So in our proposal, we had proposed for a minimum of 60% of gross revenue from CRBTs. But when you look at the clauses that were approved, they sneaked in a very small word, net. So they switched from gross to net revenue. And that's a very important difference that will change everything. What this really means is that now the telcos will sit and determine what the gross is and what the net is. So they can come up with arbitrary expenses, label them this, that, promotions, infrastructure, fees, whatever they want. And then by the time we do the mathematics, whereas the net is 60%, but in actual sense, it could end up back where we were, or could end up in the same zone, maybe 5%, 8%. So we think that's a time bomb that we need to diffuse. And why we think that's a very important time bomb we need to diffuse before the law gets into full gear is because this time bomb has eaten up the continent, or that bomb has eaten up the continent already. The Nigerians spent more than 10 years fighting that same clause in their law. The Kenyans, when they amended theirs to 62, when they demanded 62%, that's the clause that gave them a headache for very many years. Recently, during the amendment of the South African copyright law, the same technique was used, and somebody managed to get it in a few days ago.
You saw how much of a headache it was in Kenya to enforce this. What would make it easier or enforceable here in Uganda? I think pirates are also awake.
What would make it?
Enforceable with ease.
The enforcement aspect, we are not yet worried because we are already baking that cake. That's in the hands of URSB, the regulator. And we've been working even before this bill was passed. We've been working to set up the structures for enforcement, and we are doing great. And unless the URSP changes, but that's already in the power of URSP. And the CMOs have sat together, we've had consultations to design, and we've aligned with the regulator. I'm not so worried yet unless some changes happen, but I'm worried about these landmines that are in the bill. For example, the clause on reversal of rights. We had this huge debate about that during the consultations, and it had its good side and the bad side, but we thought the bad side won. Why? Because we thought it might discourage investment. If an investor thinks that I'll lose these rights in 20 years, I'm going to invest maybe 3, 4, 5 years to create value of these IP assets, and then hopefully monetize them over time, and that time is likely to be cut off by the rights reversal. That becomes a threat. Then there's also another clause where we had issues on the one of mandatory contracts within 60 days. We felt that was also very risky because the clause states that the contracts can be voidable once not registered. So we think that is going to create another administrative burden on the creators. And yet what we have been fighting for the last several years was to reduce pre-creation expenditure. What does that mean? For example, the registration of copyright was at about 450,000, 50,000 for the registration, then the gazetting fees. And we worked very hard to have that scrapped, which was scrapped as a way of removing costs before the creation is done. Now, if you introduce costs at the registration of contracts, and you mandate that it should happen very quickly, that is only going to generate revenue for the regulator, but create another burden and also create more technical hurdles for us where contracts become voided. So we hope that as soon as the law is assented by the president during the stage for creating the regulations, we can fix some of those technical details and have it work much better.
Well, thank you. Shadrach, the passing of the law in a way triggered a new conversation on issues of trust. I've had several complaints about the federations, how money is being squandered left, right, and center. Don't you think this is going now to spark another big conflict within the creatives?
I think naturally, as creatives, there's a way they perceive things, and there's a way they look at things that is way different from businessmen, that is way different from government officials, or what we call professionals. So this is what I would say to the creatives, is that we should take a little bit of more time to understand context before we start, pointing fingers. Because even world over, Prince had issues with Sony, Michael Jackson had issues with Sony, Drake has issues with Sony, so it's not just a Ugandan thing for creatives to think that they are being fleeced. It's world over. Creatives always think they are fleeced. Sometimes it's correct, sometimes it's not. So I'm just calling upon creatives to understand. So how can the trust
deficit be addressed?
It can never be 100%, but with structure. You either trust the structure or you do not. You either fall within the structure or you fall out. And there will always be opposition with everything. So politics does not only stop with active politics and what. We even see politics in church. I'm a preacher myself, but there's politics everywhere. So that we cannot say that it's going to be a clean house. Of course, there will be things coming up, but I want to say that artist leadership from 2020 until now, we have seen a huge difference where artists are organized in structure. Artists can actually come to meetings. We're a private company.
Organized to beg?
Not to beg. I think
on many occasions, they've organized themselves to beg.
I think that is wrongly worded, and I think you people, media people, have played a huge role in popularizing the word artists begging. They do not beg. This was, now for instance, Yugatunes came up as a result of COVID-19 pandemic. It was unprecedented, never happened before. There's lockdown. So government is thinking, how can artists earn even when they are off stage? So it wasn't like they went to beg. They were having engagements with the Ragadis, the Jeffrey Kongots, to find out with government, how can artists earn? Because we didn't know when, this thing was going to end. So they wanted to arrest very creative people who are broke and
You've
they're at
heard the
home.
number of times when General Saleh has come out to say, I'm fed up. Stop coming here to beg.
I don't think there's a video that says that.
There is. Ragadi, you're aware of this.
He was talking to one person.
Yeah.
And he only narrated the story because he has had people from 2021 to 2026 who still believe that he's the only person that would understand them, because the music industry has come a long way from informal to formal. The structures are there.
But also, Simon, let's credit government, because we were on another forum on Sanyuka with Ragadi, and I was asking him, why is it that, you know, people that are in parliament are in your age range, but somehow they still feel like your industry is laughable? And he was telling me that in their days, the creative industry was Baba Itanga Badongo.
It was an insult.
It was an insult. They were
Now it is a
miscreants.
business.
Now it is a business. Now it is.
You can marry someone's daughter.
As an artist.
You can.
They're
do
even
business.
marrying members of parliament, and it's no longer laughable.
We are billionaires.
Yeah.
Well, very interesting. Before we take a break, Ragadi, there was a time when UPRS became such a big nightmare. They
Yes.
would get to events,
Yes.
confiscate equipment in the name of royalties for artists.
Yes.
Do you want them to take the same direction again?
No, the direction was made.
They were ruthless.
You see, everything that you want to do in life, you need to sensitize the people. I told you something about the mindset. You know, when you believe everything is free in life, you'll never work. But if you believe that every TV in Uganda is going to pay royalties, it is a must.
Now look at the modus operandi.
Definitely.
You storm an event,
Yes.
embarrass guests,
Yes.
turn off machines, cause chaos.
But that's not your life. Have you ever seen a Umeme operation? EDCL. Have you ever seen a National Water Sewerage Corporation operation? They will not be simple at you. They come at your house, they check your bill. If there's something wrong, they don't care if you have a toilet to flush, if you have kids in the house. They'll tell you, you know what, your neighbors have paid. You have to pay. Let me tell you, Uganda is a very good country. But people think some things are for free in life. I'll tell you, that when you're going to someone can even come and say, Palazzo, nyimbira mukao. Huh? But not knowing that Palazzo is a professional singer. He sings for money.
With a team.
With a team.
Of like 20 people who
Yes.
need to get paid.
Let me tell you, one brand name in Uganda can employ over 50 people in one night. Employ them. Just imagine a band with about 22 people. The guys working. And this is business. Long time ago, it used to be free and we are dilly-dallying and joking. But now, this is business. You look at the record labels that people are trying to put up here in Uganda today. It is real business, and for the people who know what music business is, what film is, what fashion is, you've seen brands. It's real business. Others were joking in Chiembe a bit, oh, we will do it. But now you see a billboard of a fashion. You see that we can make it. And the only thing we need to do as Ugandans is change the mindset.
That's correct.
How do you take away that tag that the people behind this law are overly political and they're self-seekers? The ragadis
You see,
have been painted yellow.
yes, the problem is, if we did not start this thing in 2021, no one would pick it up. But the funny thing is, as Hildeman came on board to present the private members bill, I was NRM, he was NUP, but it was not about politics. It was about the industry. Now, it is not going to help only musicians. It is not going to help only Ragadi. It is going to help Uganda. Your kids and their kids will get something from this.
Well, we'll take a very short break, and when we return, again, our focus will be on the state of the arts industry. As the law comes.
Okay, state means many things. It could be what are the numbers like, how many practitioners are there, what are the standards like, what are the regulatory frameworks. What I can say is, as someone who has observed the industry for a while, since the days of Luimba Zake in the 1940s. I was not there, but I have got the information. I think there has been an exponential growth in the industry. There are more musicians. In the past, you would
structural growth or
so let's say quantitative growth. And quantitative can be structured. Qualitatively, of course, there are imbalances. There are good quality artists, there are those that are trying, there are those that are struggling, and so on. So, but overall, I think there are more practitioners now. And what makes me more happy about the industry is that the auxiliary participants, those around the musicians, or what has been called the value chain, has grown. So now you have a music economy. You have a music industry to talk about. People can sit and become artist managers as a career. In the past, the musician would carry his own CD to the radio station, would write his own agreements, and so on. But now, they have layers of staff, personnel, who are working for them. Then they also have associations, organizations, which are technically labor unions. So the industry has definitely grown. One thing we need to do is to look at this as a half-filled bottle. Let's be optimistic about it. Sometimes we are too pessimistic. We think negative even before any outcome is realized. But I think the music industry has grown. Right now we have a lot of government support through the president, through General Salim Saleh, and they have good intentions. I don't think we should politicize their efforts. They are really trying to get the industry structured, and that's why they are routing them.
It is inevitably political.
They are routing them through government agencies. Every intervention is going through the structures of government, like other sectors have gone through. So there has been a concerted effort. The musicians themselves have spoken with one voice. They are together. I think the associations, UMA, UNMF, they are trying. They're trying so hard, and the musicians are participating. If you want to grow your incomes, you have to close the loopholes where you're losing money. So you can lose money and fail to grow your incomes. So I think this law is going to create an opportunity for us to close the loopholes where artists have been losing money through. And I believe if we implement it effectively, if we implement it very well, the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years will be very good for the industry.
Thank you. Palazzo, what are the chances that the next war that will be in the artists industry will be about royalties that have been stolen?
Stolen in the future or in the past?
No.
In the future, going forward.
When the law finally takes shape,
Yes.
what is the likelihood that someone is going to steal your royalties?
Of course, there is a likelihood, because even in the past years, as we've been fighting, there is institutions that have been put in place to monitor these things and make sure everybody gets a fair share. And some of them have also been benefiting from how everything has been working out. Also, we need support. Just like my brothers have said, we need government support. We need police support. This is a law that's going to be enforced, and it's our right. But as you see, there is laws in place, but people still break the law. So laws are broken by people. But we have dimmed the chances now. Since we're gonna go through a structure, there is things we need in place like technology that can help us monitor all the plays throughout the country so that we get a fair collective method and a fair distribution method of funds from the CMOs. So everything depends on us. Like they said, artists and all creatives need training. Because you see, the whole discussion and argument is about people don't understand these things. Era kyevola bambagamba wano we tutuuse bw'oba omanyi ng'oli muyimbi nga tewafuna mukisa gusoma bulungi obanga tobitegeera obanga oli muyimbi ng'obadde oleekaana buleekaanyi kati bino we tutuuse si byakola ki si byakuleekaana buleekaanyi weefune ku muntu ategeera paperwork abakunnyonnyola ekigenda mu ki kubanga aliwo listen there is people out there like for example I'll use telecos I won't name out just one. I'll use telecos. They're getting the biggest percentage on the colorback tunes and they know it's unfair, you know, and now here we are saying we're going to split a net, which is still better than 60 is better than where we came from. But again, we're fighting to better these things. Also, the people benefiting from the other side are fighting for these things to stay as they are. So there is going to be a battle between people who want it to stay as things to stay as they are and people that want them to change. For example, the telecos probably will not give in so easily if they know you're touching a gross income. That's why it was so easy to go with a net profit for split share. But net profit is pretty much between you and the aggregator, which we've still been pretty much the whole weight has been laid upon the aggregator. So there's going to be tags of war, but...
Yeah, but I also get a sense that perhaps you're celebrating too soon. This law is yet to be assented to by the president. Don't you think your celebration is likely to be short-lived?
Why this celebration is worth it is I've told you the last time they structured the copyright law well done or made it was in 1959. There were no computers, there were no mobile devices, there was probably one radio station, probably one TV, which was probably in
UTV then?
Yeah, in the...
No, UTV wasn't.
Yes.
63. Mm.
Yes, that's even before UTV. So now, in a time like this where we have so much more on board, you know, we need all types of support because this benefits all of us, you know.
Thank you. Geoffrey, have you thought of URA now waiting with a lot of excitement to cast their net? For a while, you musicians have been tax evaders.
We're not worried about URA. We've never been worried about URA. What we've been unhappy about is URA taking a bigger share than they ought to. For example, on the CRBT, the history of CRBTs is that they were created at a time when there was no mobile money. And the only way to bill was through SMS and through airtime, basically. And at that time, it was not clear why they were taking a huge chunk, and the breakdown wasn't very clear. But when things are transparent, we're okay with paying taxes. In fact, already with UPRS, there's a deduction of taxes. We don't even get to see it. You just discuss your share minus URA. Last year, URA published the guidelines for taxation of public entertainment. We didn't have any major issue with it. Why? Because if URA can protect us, we'll be able to also give them their fair share. The problem is when things are arbitrary. URA shows up at the gates and then they just start taking a cut that is inexplicable. That's what we don't want. And we started 2 years ago to engage with them saying, come on, let's talk. Give us liaison people who can understand our sector. We will tell you what our true expenses are before you just take arbitrary cuts that assume certain revenue. So we want that kind of relationship with URA that understands that Ragadi spent $300,000 on makeup for his dancers, and then not assume that all the money that he was paid is profit. They need to understand that Ragadi spent an extra amount on look and feel so that the set looks great. so that they don't just assume that all of that was profit and build him unnecessary taxes. We are happy to pay taxes if they make sense, if the taxes are transparent and they are also realistic to our industry. That's something that we want to be a part of.
In the aftermath of passing this law, don't you think you need a very honest conversation on the quality of music that's on the scene?
That's a very good one. Actually, this law is the foundation for the next future industry. But the real body of the industry is going to go beyond the law. And that's a conversation we want to have with all stakeholders, with the government, and additional investments need to be made into growing the industry because we need to prepare for the next phase. The next phase is we want 100 Joshua Barakas storming London, storming Johannesburg, Cape Town, New York. And that is not going to happen with this quality of music. It means we need to sit down and understand who is what's the next, our target market. And if we are making music for the international market, then we need to step up the quality. If we are making music for the local market, probably the quality that is there is good enough, because if the customers are not complaining, why am I changing anything?
Thank you. Shadrach, artists now seem to be coming with guns blazing on telcos. How catastrophic will it be when telcos fight back and perhaps reject their music?
So this is a really it's a timely flow of events. Ugatunes is now as a private company, we are looking at Caller Tunes as business, has nothing to do with politics. We this week talked to Airtel, and they told us why they scrapped off Caller Tunes. They said they did not want to interface and have artist relations because they were slapped by a lawsuit by a Jamaican artist called Cautions of over $150,000. That's like 500,000 Uganda shillings, and they're still million, and they're still battling with it. So telcos will need aggregators. It's just business. The same way Ugatunes distributes to Spotify, and Spotify does not interface directly with Palazzo or Ragadi. You know why? Because they receive 150,000 songs every day. And they cannot talk to every artist and tell them, we need this quality, we need this artwork, is the copyright infringed upon, and all those things. So they put a guy in between. Now that guy is called a distributor. Now Ugatunes is a distributor. So we talk to Spotify and say, hey, Ugatunes has infrastructure, which is called audio recognition software that combs the entire universe of Planet to find out, has Ragadi sampled on anybody's song? Have they infringed on anybody's copyright before we deliver to Spotify? So that's the route that telecos now should take, that they are indemnified by aggregators. But now the aggregators need to have an understanding with the artists and the entire ecosystem. What the artists are fighting for is transparency.
Are they transparent themselves?
I think it's a question. Rome wasn't built in one day. Like Jaja Ragadi.
Are they?
Like Jaja Ragadi told us, this sector has highly been dominated by informal people. And now we are just structured. Because if you say artists are not transparent, why aren't they transparent? It's because where they've been operating has been informal. Now we are saying this thing is formal, this thing is structured. Now artists can understand. There are certain things that artists were not caring about. Ragadi did not sign a split sheet with the guy who produced Ndigida and Ndigida, because there was no structure. But now there's a split sheet in studio that if Palazzo is working with ADD, he understands that the 1 million I've given to ADD, Tawede yo, I have paid for studio time, and he still owns his publishing rights. And what we're doing for Caller Tunes, you see what has been happening is that MTN has been paying Palazzo 100 million alone. But now we're saying there's a songwriter, there's a producer. And now for us as Ugatunes, our infrastructure is going to cater for that. That as Palazzo is ingesting his Caller Tunes for Airtel, he's going to tell us, ADD did this. I wrote 50%, Ekongot wrote 50%. Now when ADD comes and signs up as a producer to Ugatunes, now ADD collects all the money, the 30 shillings, the 20 shillings from the catalog of Palazzo of 100 songs.
So Ugatunes is going to be smiling to the bank?
Not really smiling to the bank. I think we're trying to build something that people in the future, like Jeff said, will be smiling.
No, you're getting money.
No, it's a
It's a
foundation.
windfall for you.
No, it's a foundation.
Money is on the way.
Yeah, it's a foundation. Like I can tell you, I think I was telling guys that someone was saying, oh, the Raggadis. And I'm saying Raggadi has been on this thing from even before COVID. Going to government, going to government, going to government. So now if you see him right now, government is saying, okay, we are funding NCF. Don't look at the man and saying, oh, he's getting free money, what? This is a man who has been working. He has employees that have been dealing him before time. Isn't that correct? And people never understand this. If this is something with the federal or UMA, think that these guys have had money from before time. No, government wasn't recognizing them. Now government has started to understand that, oh, these guys actually have cleaners in their offices. These guys actually have people who are, and what people need to understand, the guys who own hotels, radio stations, everyone, they need to understand that the music business is $1 billion business, and this business employs thousands of youths, and these people need to get paid. Shadrach, I'm employed by the music business. If there are no artists, my app doesn't have music, I don't distribute anywhere, so my kids do not eat. Even like Yuga has close to 20 employees. How are they going to get paid? So it's bigger than what people think.
Wow, very interesting. Raggadi, well, I recognize you as just a legend. You've not released any hit of recent. How will you eat from copyright?
If the takedown is put in effect, all the people that have uploaded Ndigida, Kamuko Impeta, Oyagala Cash, more than 500 songs, money will come to me.
Do you think your hits are still trending?
The good thing you have a phone. So the most important that is changing in the industry, the penalties that were given, they call them currency points. Not in economics, but currency points as the currency points were between 50 to 100. Now the currency points are 2,500. And the punishment is 10 years. So who is going to open a library to infringe on people's rights when he knows there are 10 years to arrest you? You get the point? It's like people would be ready to destroy your movie or your film, and he keeps 1 million on the side. So when you come to get him that he has infringed, he gives you 1 million, he says, sentence always did. Now the punishment, you know why people do not kill each other every day? Because the punishment of death is a thorough one. Now, if you have regulations and you have penalties that you give to the people that make these mistakes, people are not going to make mistakes. But people have been making mistakes, like I call them intentional massacres. Someone says, let me get the whole catalog of Palazzo, I put it on external and sell it to someone. If they take me to court, I will pay them 1 or 2 million and it's over. But now it's not like that. They will just look at you, get you, what did you copy? This is how you got it. Okay, these are the currency points. 2,500, that's a big one.
Joel, yes. One of the key characteristics of a good law is that it must have an element of equity and fairness. This law, the way it sounds and the spirit behind it is prohibitive and very harsh. Don't you think it's going to be met with stiff resistance?
I think...
you imagine imprisoning someone for playing digida digida and you take me to prison for 10 years.
No, because...
when it's not his.
Because the amount of loss you are creating for this artist is also colossal. It's very large, it's very big. So I think actually the law is not so harsh. I think it just tries to put in safeguards to prevent lack of compliance. So
no, the penalties are
huge. It's very easy to comply. Some of the rates that the artists are asking for are small. They are not, like for instance, if you hear what they charge the radio stations, those stations can probably make that money in a day. If you look at the advertising revenue they make, when you check out the rates they are charging the stations.
No, but do you remember the first experiment that was done by UPRS?
Well,
backfired?
You've now UPRS. That's why I keep saying the creatives are very understanding people. Initially, they came with a hammer and went to the radio stations and through UPRS, and then the station said, "Well, we might not be able to pay this kind of fees you want. Let's do revenue share. Let's give you a percent of what we make." So that we know when we make, we share some of it. So UPRS talked to the creatives and they accepted. Then what do you find? Under declaration, false declarations from the stations. So UPRS goes back to the creatives and says, you know, people are telling us they've not made anything, but we've been listening to ads the whole year on air. So let's change and go to a fee. So it now moved from that to a fee. And currently, it's a fee that is paid for a year. But when you look at the fees, and I'm not asking the creatives to change them, when you look at the fees, they are really marginal. Because if you're charging 1.7 million to a station for a whole year, that can be made in the morning show in the 9 o'clock hour on one day. A sponsored hour through the month of a countdown at 7 p.m. can pay off the fees for the creatives.
What can awaken
So
other
I think-
what can awaken other creators to realize that they too have a share of this, because it's
even
been reduced more to.
And even before we go to that, I think the whole issue is sensitization. That we need people to understand that we have both a moral and business obligation to pay for materials we use to produce something we sell. For instance, if I have someone coming to cut grass in my compound, I have to pay him for the work that he has done. If you're going to use a musician's work to attract audiences, to attract people to a bar, at least pay him something, pay the creative something, so that they know that what they invested in has brought a return on investment, has brought back some money to them. So that's something, a lot of sensitization is required, a lot of negotiations will need to be in place because...
Do you see a likelihood of, once this law starts biting, the relationship between media stations, media houses, and creators is likely to be severed?
It's not likely because they're already paying. They understood this long time ago.
They are paying out of negotiation, but now
no, this is what
they will be paying out of law.
This is what we say, and I must admit that I am actually a media person first and foremost. But why am I arguing in favor of the creatives? Because I would not want the same done to the media houses. When Al Jazeera took your footage here and wanted to use it for free without compensating the station, you had incurred a lot of cost to capture that footage from the boat accident. And everyone supported you for trying to get Al Jazeera to acknowledge, first of all, that they got this footage from you, but also compensate you for the costs of producing that footage. Now, I believe that initially there might be some misunderstanding, especially for stations that have not been paying before. But with more sensitization, and when we talk to creatives, we talk to them that when you're engaging these people, you engage in a civil manner, and that's what they've been doing. You talk and harmonize positions. I believe over time, most stations will be able to pay. We need to take into account that some stations actually are struggling. And that's why when you look at the rates that the creatives seem to be charging the stations now, they seem to vary in recognition of that fact that a small community radio in Sebei maybe will not be able to pay as much as a station, let's say, in Kampala that's earning huge amounts of money. The creatives are very flexible. They've demonstrated this before.
Palazzo, we're looking at a a fledgling young music industry that's just growing. Before you popularize your hits, you're now slapping charges onto people that we must pay. Don't you worry that we are likely to prefer Congolese and Nigerian music over yours?
I don't think that's going to be the case because music is a taste, personal taste. Everybody loves different music. For example, even in the bill, we try to push for a higher percentage of our own local music because our music is also part of our culture and pride. But why I don't think the law
it's going to dissuade the people.
Let me give you an example. We are some of the last countries to amend our copyright law due to advancements in technology. With the arrival of the internet, with the arrival of mobile phones, computers, hard drives. Like for example, they told you about the private copy levy where people get private copies on their flash drives yet. This poses no direct contribution to the industry or to the government in taxes. But again, all this music we keep on playing here, Mapiano and the South Africans, they have already streamlined their industry with an updated copyright law, and we pay for them because they are using international collective societies like ESCAP, BMI. The challenge, we can also use them in Uganda as well, but the challenge is we pay a lot of tax as non-citizens to other countries for using their technology and their platforms. That's why we think our industry is a very rich and vital industry that needs direct government intervention, not only on copyright, but in investment because it employs everybody regardless of race, gender, background, culture. So those countries, it's your choice. We play the Congolese, we're gonna pay the Congolese. It depends on how you feel. Do you want Uganda to grow? Because this money, why it cannot affect the relationship between the media and the people and the artists it's not even collected by the artists. It's collected by a private entity owned by artists, which is a CMO. But
there lies a problem. Not so?
No. Well, there is a problem because it's working under monopoly. We only have one. And in other countries, they have numerous. But from, say, South Africa, if you played here, Nasty C, automatically their technology and their collective societies will collect the money. So it's your choice. As a DJ, as a media representative, you either send the money to South Africa or you send it back home so we can grow our own country. Simple and plain.
Well, I have very interesting comments, and I want to thank our viewers out there who have shared your opinion on the Copyright and Neighboring Rights Amendment Bill 2025 that was enacted into law. Gray says, Gray Obia, happy for all creatives, they deserve to be paid. Their art heals souls, keeps relationships intact, motivates people, kills stress, etc. Aniko Katube says, give Palazzo much time, with an emoji of a laughing feature. Little did I know that it's such a Chimanyo Luzungu. That's a compliment. Brian Nyakojo says,
that's a good question. Profanity doesn't operate in the same line as copyright. That's two different things. In fact, we shouldn't even have a debate on that.
The composer is entitled to royalties, isn't he?
As long as it's a buyer's choice. As long as you like something, you pay for it. As long as you use something, you pay for it. So, profanity is a whole different matter. If you're concerned about it, there's already different laws to deal with that. There's different regulators to deal with that. UCC is there for that. Copyright is you touch it, you pay for it. That's it.
Shadrach, do you think our music has gotten to the level where this fuss about copyright is timely? Or we still have a long way to go?
I think it has actually gotten to that level because I measure that with the level of investment going in. Before, the Raggaddies would record a song at 3,000 shillings. Right now, it is actually $3,000 to get a really nice audio, you see? So the music has gotten there. the quality has gotten there. You know, others are catching up, but we're actually getting there in terms of investment, in terms of creativity, but then also, you know, in terms of demand, you see? Because the demand is what is creating all this attention and this fuss. So we're actually there, and it's very timely, yes.
Ragadi, what is the fate of concerts with this law?
Concerts, they're supposed to pay royalties because it's public performance. You have seen so many bands, they sing cover songs. They're not their songs, but they earn more than the actual artists. So it is better. I've seen...
Look at it on the flip side. I'm promoting your music. I play it in a bar.
Yes, I'll give you an example, a live example. There's a song called Bimbunye Bunye, Bimbunye, Nemena Masanyu Nakwa,
By Kabuye.
Kabuye Semboga.
Yes.
He was very sick 6 months ago. But his song was playing at some bar and people were dancing. Then when I listened to that song, I recorded a small video. I said, I am praying to God what we have worked for all these years, people of Uganda to understand where the pain comes from. You know, there's nothing as bad as the owner. I have a song where I said, my song gets into a Range Rover before I sit in it. The rich people listen to your song when you're on border. It is bad. The reason why you're saying the artists have gone to the rehabs is because now your song has gone everywhere in the world, but you have not gone anywhere. So the copyright law is going to help you understand that your efforts, your sweat, one day is going to come back to you.
On the fate of concerts, this is a new reality. Even every artist will also pay for their own concert.
Yes.
Did you know that? Your promoter will have to pay, or if you organize a concert, you will pay. Do you know why? Because for most works, there are other stakeholders who are not on stage.
Yes.
So you're performing a song that is co-owned by a songwriter. You're performing a song that's co-owned by a producer.
The DJ is playing music before the show.
Ragadi will have to pay, or his promoter will pay for his own concert to UPRS to be able to perform it. Something new will come called set lists. They will have to submit a set list to UPRS, a list of all the songs they are going to perform, so that they can determine how much to bill them.
Well, Robert Nestroy Kayongo says the same system that failed to enforce the existing law is the one parading this amendment as progress. It is political theater, not reform. Pure musicians will remain poor because nothing fundamentally changes. How many convictions have you actually seen under the LGBTQ law? Well, on this very one, Joel, do you think there is goodwill on the part of the enforcer?
Okay, the first question we'll ask, who is the enforcer? Of course, this has been a concerted effort, but enforcement of the law is actually a government function. So for government to enforce laws, they need, one, a legal framework that guides that enforcement.
There's been one. What was wrong with it anyway?
No, this legal, you see, this bill, what I liked about this bill, it is the most beneficiary-driven bill I have seen done in Uganda, where the stakeholders are driving the agenda. Not a bill where someone comes with a briefcase and says, you guys in this sector, this is what we should do for you. It was such a back and forth that there was cohesion. Now, the bill is in place, like I mentioned earlier. The president will receive it. The president also consults, will invite his legal experts, will even invite creatives again and say, okay, I have heard you make noise about private.
So there's going to be ping pong again?
Not ping pong, but it's like you signing documents or paperwork from somewhere. You have to read through, understand, and then you sign. So if, let's say there is a pressing issue, I'm just giving this as an example, say private copy levy. And then he sees that a large group of people are insisting on this, he will consult further. Then once the enforcement begins, already agencies are now working out a framework to enforce, to implement this law, an interagency framework. Government ministries are sitting saying, now this is how we most likely will move forward. This is what police will do. This is what local government will do. This is what Ministry of Finance will do. This is what ICT should do. So that it succeeds. For me, I would not start from a negative point of view. I believe that right now there is a lot of information available even to the creatives. The world is a more open place than before. Transparency is key when implementing some of these. So I believe that compliance will be... There are technological options you probably have heard about, like the copyright management system and so on, that are supposed to support the artists to strengthen compliance. They will work with the artists to deploy technology that can help them monitor. New technologies will come. Art creatives might develop other systems and put them in place.
For now, do you agree with the notion that there is no clear foundation upon which this law can be enforced?
I think there is the issue of foundation is really at an attitude level. And if a lot of effort is placed on changing attitudes, that will help. If there is a lot of sensitization, if there is awareness building, I think it will help. For now, there is some degree of unanimity that the creatives are fully behind this.
No, I think the creatives are hugely divided.
They are not divided. The only questions we keep seeing, like on social media, is whether it will work. Not that it is not in their interest.
Also, those questions, are they from creatives?
You understand?
Or skeptics.
And also regarding enforcement, there's already a framework for enforcement between the regulator and the CMOs. The CMOs have enforcement agents, and they are authorized by the regulator. The regulator in the past had paused their mandate, but recently we've been having consultations with the regulator, and we worked on the guidelines. We had some back and forth meetings to fine-tune them, and we finalized it. So pretty much they've been approved. We're just waiting for the deployment of those enforcement agents.
Palazzo, there's also a school of thought that passing this law is a win for the likes of Eddie Kenzo, the Raggadis, who are in bed with the system. There's a group of artists who are very hesitant to associate with you. What's your take?
Reason is being there's been a lot of misinformation. Everybody is getting information not from first hand, but from who he has said. That's why I told people the biggest thing we are pushing forward here is sensitization. All stakeholders, everybody that is involved with entertainment, because people are arguing about what they really don't understand. But for who's going to benefit, it's about good music. People rise every day. Young children are the world's biggest natural resource. So the future is in their hands. For us, what we wanted to do is, actually, I don't think Raggadi or Eddie Kenzo might benefit more than the future, because they have already lost so much money due to piracy, billions of money. The first industry, you know how much money Chameleon has lost? He has run the industry for the last 20, 25 years single-handedly, and so it's not going to be so easy for them to benefit alone. But this is protecting the works of the upcoming musicians. They are so lucky because their works are going to be protected.
Do you get jittery when you pass bars and bands are playing your songs?
I used to naye kati ennaku zino oli akugamba akayimbako kyekakola Masaka naye nga gwe n'ogewaka oli yala naye nga bannaka Masaka bagenderwa. So music has been devalued to the point that we even have to pay the media to play our music. It's reverse psychology. They have made us so unimportant that, and somebody is behind all these things. But me, what I feel like is the upcoming artists are going to benefit more. For example, for us growing up in this industry, we started off at small stages, facing audiences of about 5 people. We came hands-on from ground up. Now, lately, I realized my first tours, I used to go on tour with my big brother, Ragadi, Chameleon. They used to take us under their wings so people could know us. And what happened over the last few years is people actually converted into fans on a gradual pace. So we have so many fans that you can even go and host a stadium. Now for us, we are fortunate that artists only make money on stage, but we can access the stage. Right now, the upcoming artist is even in more critical shape because he has no platform to perform and make money. So this law might change things because now musicians are going to start making money sleeping. Yes, so the upcoming artists, organize yourself and wait for investors. I hear people throwing quality, but the fact is Ugandan music has even never got a chance on a national platform. We don't know how far it can go. Most of that music that you see from countries that have gone so far have had foreign investors. That's why you see MTV went to South Africa, went to Nigeria. Nigeria, they have their own MTV, it only plays Nigerian music. South Africa, their MTV only plays South African music. Our MTV plays South African and Nigerian music here, and ours doesn't even play. Because for them, they have been structured and organized. They have welcomed investors, like you just saw. Universal Records just bought Empire? Marvin Records. Yes, like I told you, an investor from Sony was calling me trying to buy my catalog. He offered small business because there is small business here. There is no clear way of somebody making back returns after investment. But right now, since there is a clear way, now people know how talented Uganda is. Without a structure, we've had people like Eddie Kenzo go to the BET, Reddy and Wiz go to the BET. Radagadi has traveled the whole world, me, myself. So with the good, proper structure, now if we get these investments, one of the things I hope for in the payment systems, mobile money is like the African Visa card. Uganda, we need to get all these things attached to mobile money because we have supportive funds. Like Ragadi said, we are a very lucky country. You go to Masaka, people are very happy to see you. They welcome us like you could think we are leaders of a religion. But the fact is, they love us and they are willing to pay but the money is diverging and going to other people due to piracies and an outdated copyright law. Now with the redemption of this, upcoming artists will make money sleeping. Before you hit stage, you start making money, an opportunity we didn't have, and so on.
Well, I want to alert our viewers that we'll have a few minutes on Afro Mobile.